I don't like that name, but it's going to be fun anyway. Today, we're going to be discussing a few kind of strategic ways to run a Performance Max feed only and a standard shopping campaign. And what we have learned is that Google is really greedy, but we also found out that we can leverage that greed to get it to do what we want. So I've been posting on LinkedIn this last few days some results from a few tests, and I'd like to talk about that today because I think that this could be really, really, really helpful. Because even a few other Performance Max campaigns that we launched for other clients, we started to see some oddities there. So this is a strategy that is designed to do something very specifically, and I'm going to let my dog out, so I'll be right back. Hold on one second, everyone. Left you on a cliffhanger there. So what this strategy is designed to do is to leverage Performance Max to go into the area that we want it to go into. Now, about 8 months ago, we posted a video on our YouTube channel called How to Steer PMax. And this is a kind of build on that strategy. We found months ago that you can take a full build PMax and compete against it with other campaigns, and says PMax takes priority above everything else. And even the official Google word is that if you take an exact match keyword in a search campaign, and if that exact match keyword comes in, it defaults to the apparently gets strategy even gets the dog. I said that's right, Dave. He was so happy. He just had to jump up and run around in excitement. But Google says that if you have an exact match keyword, that exact match keyword is going to be taken priority inside of the search campaign. And that is 1,000% false. That does not work. I've had 3 Google teams try to compete with me on that. And then each time I show them the case study, they're like, well, I guess that's right. So I originally found out a year ago that Google will add a native keyword to Performance Max because in our initial testing, when we ran a campaign that had a $5,000 per day spend on brand search, that when PMax went live, that $1,000 per day went to $5,000 per day went to $1,000 per day. It reduced itself by about 80%. And then my PMax campaign only showed up for that exact keyword immediately. So where everyone says, hey, if you run an exact match keyword, you'll pull it out of PMax. No, that's not right. Even every single variable we could find. No. So for just all sake of kind of algorithmic understanding, we're going to assume that PMax is going to take priority, period. Now, because we know that PMax is going to take priority, we can leverage it. And I think what we're leveraging is Google's sort of selfishness that they are asking everyone to test a PMax versus standard shopping and see which one wins. Well, that's a very dishonest test because PMax over attributes. It wins by default. I have campaigns that have not run in months still getting conversions by conversion time in PMax. So what we've been doing is solving for the issue that most clients have. And that issue is, how do I launch a PMax campaign and keep it from falling into the branded and dynamic remarketing of my organic traffic, my TikTok traffic, my Facebook traffic, my Instagram traffic, all of these other traffic sources? How do we get PMax to not simply just insert itself and take credit for that transaction? And that's what it does. And you'd see that Google is actually doing that too. The whole reason why engaged view conversions for after 3 days after a 10-second view was added, the only reason why that was added by default and turned on inside of your existing conversion action that was primary, even if it was secondary, was so that PMax can build its own video, show it to a person, and then gain attribution for it. Now, did it help? That's up for debate. Maybe yes, maybe no. But it does do it. It does take credit for any area in the path or any area in the funnel that it can find inserting itself. If that's brand, or if that's a remarketing YouTube view, if it's an engaged view conversion off of a 5-cent view ad and it gets a $27 sale, well, that's a pretty good PMax ROAS, 1,500% sometimes. So I'm sure that you all out there in internet land and YouTube land and LinkedIn land, wherever you are watching this, or if you're watching after the fact, has started a PMax campaign and said, my top search category is my brand. My second top search category is my brand and product name. And those are about 70 to 80% of all my conversion value and clicks and conversions and impressions. Google made a mistake. They made a mistake by using a bidding strategy that is forcing that to happen. So you take a smart algorithmic tool and you say, find me a maximize conversions or maximize conversion value, and then exacerbated the issue by adding a TCP or TROAS by saying, if you only go after the brand, that is going to guarantee you that TCP or that TROAS. And now the campaign can't do what it was designed to do, which is warm up cold traffic and bring it down to middle of the funnel and bring it down to a bottom of the funnel and then convert it, even if it's brand. That's why Google wouldn't allow you to exclude the brand on your own, because that's the last step of the funnel. Why would it do all the work, 9 out of 10 paths, and then just to stop the last path from coming in and go into the brand campaign? That's the opposite of what PMax is trying to do. So Google's now giving us the ability to add a brand as a negative inside of PMax, but what that does is it exacerbates the first issue of remarketing. So if I take all of my product feed and I say, hey, you're allowed to take this feed and show it to anybody at any point in the path, even if they're going to come back in 3 hours and buy, show them a display ad or show them a remarketing ad on YouTube, GSP, Discover, Display. It's going to show to that person, and it's going to take credit if it can at least pop a YouTube ad with their automatically created videos and now automatically count conversions if it automatically has an impression within 3 days that a person is going to convert. So there's a lot of things that Google is trying to over attribute to itself. It's a brilliant move if you think about how Facebook just lost all its attribution and Google can just scoop up more attribution, and now none's the wiser. It's like, well, Google's getting a 5 and Facebook's getting a 1. I'm going to spend more in Google. And that's the wrong scenario. So I think that this is going to be exactly how we are able to push a very specific campaign in the direction we want it to go. And I want to share with you some results in a account that we're running. And I put some pretty high spend in there. And that pretty high spend kind of shows what the before and after change is. I want to put some metrics up on the screen too as well. And this isn't to say that Google is, it's not to say that the one campaign is better than the other. It's not. What we're trying to identify is, can we take a really good, solid new campaign and push it to the direction that we want it to go into, which is what everyone was hoping for, but it never really happened. I don't have too much search term data. What I can tell you is that we do have brand excluded in a campaign, the campaigns that we're running, because we're running them before. But I think we've sort of solved the issue that we used to see. And give me just a minute to get this set up, because I want to give you a before and after from when we were running this last year. And I'll share with you kind of what we're able to see. And I'm using Nortbeam to share this data here. So I think that this is going to be very, very helpful in the explanation and what we used to see versus what we see now. Give me one moment here while this gets set up here. First time versus returning. Let's do this here. All right. So I'm going to share this with you here. Let me share screen. There. Okay. So this is June 15th to June 17th when we were running Performance Max, and you see that these are all paused here. Now, at the time, we're spending, 800 or 1,000 or 350, and we look at our cost we look at our first time CAC, and the first time CAC was showing for, this of 287, 247, 123, 196. And this is on an accrual standpoint. So this is conversions by conversion click. It's not conversion by conversion time. And what we see here is the first time transactions and then the returning transactions, which is going to be over here. So we'll see 50 first time transactions and 30 returning transactions. Or we'll see 129 first time transactions and 571 returning transactions. Or we'll see 49 first time transactions and 38 returning transactions. It's about a 50-50, 60-40 split. And one thing that we've did is we actually are running new versions of these PMax campaigns that are only 3 days old. So what I'm going to look here first, I'm going to look at the cache snapshot from the last 3 days. And these campaigns here, you'll see like as no longer active. That's just because NordBeam isn't integrated with Performance Max very well. But what we're looking at here is on the accrual snapshot, we're looking at what is the first time transactions versus the returning. But then I want to share with you a cache snapshot difference. So where we see the first time transactions of 7 and then 3 and then 7 and then 1, this one here is more even, 4 and then 3.25. Then we have, again, they're only 3 days old, so have a conversion versus none, and then 2 versus 1. So we have a little bit more new than returning. Now, when I looked at the cache snapshot of this versions here, and I compared to the last 3 days, I stuck about $80,000 into this. So you'll see I have a 48% increase in the last 3 days, up to 162. And I stuck that all in standard shopping. Now, standard shopping has those same products active, but in a standard shopping variable. So we'll see the standard shopping with the products here, and then we're going to see a PMax counterpart with the same products. This is what's important, is looking at a PMax counterpart on a cache snapshot, which is conversions by conversion time, which means it doesn't really matter what was happening before. I want that. I want to say, hey, regardless of who was going to buy anyway, what has been the result difference? And putting in a whole bunch of money into this campaign in my standard shopping allowed the PMax campaign to get a 0.91 MER, an $84 CAC, and have 40 first-time transactions. That's increased 157 from like the 5 that we're getting just with latent conversions, and Google still pushing all the conversions into PMax that hasn't been running in freaking years. Not really, it's been a few months. But you'll see that my returning transactions did not increase. My returning transactions went down. My first-time transactions went up. This is what we could not do before. Now, when you see the returning transactions at 922, that's not true. We have campaigns in here that have not ran, and you'll see you'll see the spend is 0, and I made 522 returning transactions. That is simply because we're using a cache snapshot that looks at the last 720 days of all activity, instead of these people continually just rebuy every week, every month, whatever it may be. It's still going to be attributed to the original campaign that brought it in. But that's good. That means that if I start to dump in a whole bunch of money into it, do these start to increase? And no, it got worse. Good. So whether you're talking about accrual or whether you're talking about cash, or we're talking about conversions by conversion click, or you're talking about conversion by conversion time, doesn't matter. I can't find a way that this actually started to increase the returning transactions in Performance Max. So why this is important is because when we're leveraging the Google Ads ecosystem, you can see that the standard shopping campaign CACs are terrible. They're 159, 180, 311. And this is only brought down because my one big campaign that I spent 50 grand in the last 3 days are going after the non-co-op partners. This standard shopping campaign does not share a PMax counterpart. That's not what's going on. So if we filter by the co-op campaigns that we're working on here, I have a $331 CAC. So let's write some things down here. And this is the comparison. I think this is why this is starting to work well. If I take a look at shopping, which I know is missing attribution a whole ton, I spent $22K here, and that equaled 67 new customers. And for a cost per acquired new customer of 331 NCAC. So now we look at the Performance Max counterparts that we have running here. And in this Performance Max counterpart, we have a 34,438 in spend. Sorry, $3,438 in spend. So let's just say 3.5K. So call it 3K in spend. Now that 3K in spend has 41 new customers, 41 customers, giving me an NCAC of a $84 NCAC. So the differences between here, again, this isn't standard shopping versus PMax. These are both of them combined to equal a very specific scenario. Why spend 22K to get 67 when I can spend 35K to get 41? Well, that's because I can't spend 35 or 3.5K to get 41. This will not happen. This we saw before. It was like a 50-50 split. And when I dumped in money, the returning users got bigger. Why? Well, it's going after brand and remarketing of existing customers that are already there in the first place. Remember, these people are on a lot of times an auto ship, and they sign in to change things. But when they sign in and change things, and the brand campaign or branded keywords inside of PMax used to scoop it up and just say, "Okay, this is mine too." Person came back to adjust their order, and now I captured a G clip with an order. I win. because it's automatic targeting. So when we look at this thing and say, okay, 22,067 and 3.5 to 41, there's a lot of averages here. And it's a lot of averages at scale. So when you look at scale, I put in 48% more spend and got 29% more conversions for new customers. So my cost per acquired new customer only went up 15%. Because this went up 15%, I can dump in what's 50% of 100. I put $80,000 in 3 days and only drove up my total CAC by 15%. Well, what happened globally? What happened in every single channel? What happened in the $284,000 that we spent in this last 3 days? Well, I can increase that by 28%. The 28% of almost 300K. That's a lot of money. That's a 80K. And globally, my CAC only changed by 7.8%. And my MER went down 7% after putting in 30% more in 3 days. That's not even including the time lag. The time lag that this is going to see is 8 days on average. So in the first 3 days, I only changed my CAC and my MER 10% by adding $80,000 in with the strategy. So this is why this is important. If you look at standard shopping, gosh, it's hemorrhaging cash. If you look at PMax, wow, that looks amazing. But if you only run standard shopping, you're a bad marketer because ROAS look bad. If you're only running PMax, you're a bad marketer because you're capturing all the returning traffic and brand. But with these two strategies combined, when you throw $80,000 at it, you scale. And you only imagine if you take any one of your accounts, you throw $80,000 into it. You think everything's going to change by 10%? There's not a freaking agency on the planet I know that can do that. Not unless it's just like a massive amount of people, but we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. You can't really just scale up like that usually. This is what the 2 posts on LinkedIn that I just posted where it's like I scaled 100%. I scaled to 80%. I did the last 3 days. I scaled 30%. Added almost $100,000 into this. And this is where we can see that those two correlate, that when you dump in a bunch of funny money in standard shopping, your PMax just scales to the moon with cheap CACs. But when you run it by itself, it doesn't work. Why? You're not giving it a signal. The signals in PMax don't work. Signals in PMax don't do anything. You say, hey, I think you should go there. And Google says, yeah, I found your brand. So thanks anyway. And then Google's best practices says, yeah, but if you upload all of your customers, we promise not to go after them. Well, that doesn't work. It does. It immediately goes after them. It only goes after them sometimes and then optimizes down towards. That's the only thing that's there. I've run this on 10 accounts. It works really, really well. And I'm going to tell you how to run it. And I will share with you how to run it. And I have, as a lot of people out there are actually getting into some kind of hot water with their own campaigns where they said, I ran standard shopping, I ran PMax, standard shopping doesn't run. Why? And I'm going to change your thought process about what search impression share means. And anybody watching, I think there's like 30 people watching right now. This is, though John talks in cursive sometimes. Yeah, I do. So if anybody's watching out there, would you say in chat here, and I don't know if there's like anybody really paying attention, it's probably just me talking to myself, but would you say that search impression share is indicative, means is a relative metric of what you can scale up in the global market? I guess to say, if you say, hey, you're targeting the United States, you got 80% search impression share. Do you all believe that you're 80% tapped out? Yes or no? Because I want to change your thinking on this. And this is the secret to how to run these campaigns side by side. So just say yes or no, that 80% search impression share means that I got about 20% left in scale, and then I'm kind of tapped out in that campaign. Let me know that, because this is where we're going to flip that upside down on you. We're going to give you a different metric. And then those two combined are going to say, oh my gosh, that's where I'm locked in. And that's what I could have grown to. Dave Smart. It was a trick question. And you all know it's a trick question. I just want to say it for fun. I'm bored. So check this out. This is going to be the second version of this whole thing. And I have a very specific, use case. I have a few of them, but just imagine this happens every time, as I can't go through all my campaigns live on here, but I want to share with you exactly what happened here. So I'm going to hop back into a shopping campaign. Come on, Google. Of course, you're going to go extremely slow now. All right. There we go. All right. This is what everyone sees. This is exactly what ends up happening for everybody when they try to do this. is they say, okay, this campaign here, spending $300 a day. It was spending more. It was spending about $800 a day. This campaign here is spending $800 a day. I launched PMax and oh no, I was spending 800. Now it's down to 50. But then how does this jump up then to up to 262? Because my daily ad spend now I've moved it down to 309. And what ended up happening here, we can check out the change history so I can share with you exactly what I did. Very simple. You'll see right here, all I did was take this campaign, remove it from the target ROAS, change it to a manual CPC without eCPC. It was only running at a 60% ROAS anyway. I changed it to a manual CPC and I took the product bids and I just bid crazy. I went nuts. Why did I take a product bid and go up to $7? That sounds stupid. Yeah, it's okay. I'm only getting a $3 CPC, but what I have to do is make this one more attractive to Google so that I win against PMax. And you can't use an algorithmic adjustment on this because it's going to compete with PMax. So let me just share with you why this $7 here makes sense. When you're looking at Performance Max and you're looking at, let's say, a $3 CPC, if I'm in standard shopping and I also run a $3 CPC, Google says, well, PMax is going to go from 3 to 4, and so are you. By default, PMax in your standard shopping campaign, our favorite child is PMax. And it just goes there. And you're like, crap, it stopped working. What if we told Google, you can make a lot of money at a $7 cost per click if you also run this campaign? Then Google says, well, I like money. Money's good. It's 80% of, or 97% of everything that Google makes is right here in this dashboard. So when you look at how this here, how this started to increase, this started to now spend on the 23rd here. And I actually were able to adjust. All of a sudden, these clicks, all of a sudden said, yep, all right, now I'm going to start to spend. Now my impressions go up 1,400%. My clicks go up 1,000%. My cost now finally shoots up 429%. I'm at the daily ad spend. I've done this about 12 times in this just one campaign, and it worked really, really well. You can see that even my standard shopping campaigns total, my cost here from the 23rd compared to the previous period went up. Well, I guess I'll just go into shopping overview. All the campaigns here. Sorry, shopping campaigns here. My cost in everything in shopping on the 23rd compared to the 22nd went up. Let me do this here. This one went up 4%. Wait, hold on. I'm in the wrong date. Sorry, hold on one second. Let's do this here. Let's just be faster. Let's take the total here. So cost was able to go from 20,000 up to 37,000 a day and 39,000. And I'm running this at the same time that my Performance Max campaigns are also ramping up. So everything's ramping up now. PMax, standard shopping, they're all ramping back up because what we did before is we said, okay, maximize clicks. No. Manual CPC. No. Low T ROAS. No. What about if we just take this one campaign and make it really attractive to Google? Like, what if we do $7 clicks? And then what ends up happening is the $7 clicks don't actually get $7 clicks because it's just like a manual CPC, but it starts to get a $2.80 clicks, which are now bidding just above where PMax wants to go. PMax is algorithmically targeting a user based on its interpretation that that person is either going to maximize conversions, maximize conversion value, maximize conversions at a target cost per acquisition, or maximize conversion value at a target return on ad spend. Those are the four variables of which it will take over. But if manual CPC comes in and says, I'll be right here, you can run them both. And you won't get a very expensive CPC as your high bid. You can go up to it, but you're only going to get the click that is a slightly higher than what your PMax is going to get. Well, what does that do to the actual search? I'm glad you asked, John Moran. What that does is allows you to get a really good high quality placement on shopping for users who are very bottom of the funnel for really high quality search traffic. So the trick there is to not throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, is to not spend all of your ad spend in standard shopping. Because if you have a $300 per day campaign and you spend $150 on standard and $150 on PMax, PMax is going to get a better result naturally because Google hates standard shopping and wants it dead. But your PMax or your standard shopping campaign is going to have really horrible attribution and look like it's hemorrhaging cash. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take a standard shopping campaign and you're going to blow out the budget and your overall account ROAS is going to go down. Your MER may look amazing, but the client's still going to be upset at you, or you're just going to think you're not really doing too well because you're not looking at the return traffic through email, through organic, through direct, through all these other channels that you're actually driving the first click on from standard shopping. That's why standard shopping can run really effectively at 100% ROAS and you can 4x MER your account. This is bridging the gap. we're all going to get PMax forced on us anyway. That's just going to be how that's going to happen. So when PMax gets forced on us anyway, this is my teachable campaign to PMax. And hopefully the day never comes where PMax is the only thing, because then this whole thing just goes out the window. We got to go create all the strategies. But if PMax is just going to over attribute it to itself, fine. But I'm still going to use standard shopping campaign to push it in a direction that I want to, or even DSA and push it, or even manual CPC search and push it. This is not just shopping and e-commerce PMax. This is one strategy. This strategy works everywhere. If you make campaigns that are spending less per day, but more attractive at a higher CPC than the PMax campaign, now you're going to take your DSA, your search, your YouTube TCPMs, if you wanted to have a target cost per milli, that is going to be higher than what PMax can get, forcing PMax into more remarketing on YouTube. You could take your other extraneous campaigns, but set them at a 40% or 30% budget, deliver the rest of the budget to PMax, push them with all the other campaigns, and PMax is simply going to look like it's amazing. In this campaign that I'm about to show you here, we all know that this is something that's not necessarily possible. This is something that turned me on to, okay, this is not possible at all. I can see what happened here. And I'll actually prove to you that it's not just Google over attributing things to itself. It's not just PMax saying, hey, I did well, and the client lost a whole bunch of money. So I'm going to pull out a analytical account. So Google Analytics, UA, because Team UA, I hate GA4. But we're going to take a look at an account, and I'm going to share with you the non-possibilities that is happening inside of this account. And anybody worth their salt in Google Ads will say, yep, Google's stacking the deck. It has to be. There's no way that this is possible. And for those of you who have not seen this, this will be kind of fun for you. Inside of this account here, how do I spend $25,000 in standard shopping and only spend $2,800 more in PMax? My conversions go up 41% for my 16% more spend. And for 20 grand, I get 445 conversions. And for 25,000, I'll get 178. And how does my conversion value go from spending 25 grand and getting 68 to only spending, $2,800 more, just 2,800, and then give me $78,000 more? So how did that work? Now, in the campaign total, I spent 177 more in cost, and I got 158 more in conversion value. But we know that PMax is scooping up the available traffic here, so everything lands well. Now, if I never ran this PMax campaign, I'd probably get a similar ROAS on this. ROAS, you see, when I increased it by 177% in cost, only went down 6%. So I know that this is working well. And to those that would not necessarily say that, well, that's also attribution, PMax, remark, blah, blah, blah. If I go the same date range of December 28th to March 23, which is right here, December 28th, March 23, it looks like I've made an additional conversion value of 145,000. Back in analytics, went from 224,000 to 419. That's about 220 grand. Well, 215,000. So their revenue increased by 87% since basically January, last 3.5 months, or less, almost 4 months now. So yeah, I did actually scale this account. It's in the bank account, it's in Shopify, it's in analytics, it's in Google Ads. Yeah, it worked. It worked well. But it didn't work well because my little 268% campaign lost, is because my PMax gained 57% ROAS. Done this multiple times now. Each time I've done this, it's worked well. So what we see, and also, by the way, and to those people that may say, yes, but the standard shop or the PMax campaign probably just remarketed to everybody. And now we're getting, also a lot of whole brand. Well, in the last 28 days, if I just take the last 28 days here, this here is going to show with you the 100 descending conversion value. You got PowerHeart AED G3 battery, and then you have a Zoll AED plus pads, and then you have the XPT AED 0001 that made $2,000 and it never made $2,000 before in the last 28 days. So watch this. Let me take a little snapshot here, because this is going to be indicative of some really, really cool stuff that everyone needs to learn. This is the ins and outs. So when we're talking about PowerHeart AED G3 battery, okay, PowerHeart AED G3 battery, my XPT campaign that I've just started running about 28 days ago, PowerHeart battery. This is the one that started to win. Okay, next, Zoll AED plus pads. Oh, well, that is in here. Zoll AED This is the CPRD pads, Zol 80 plus pads. This is what I'm also spending on $100 or the 765 on the Zol pads. And then we look at the XBT AED. That's this campaign again, back up to here. So why all of a sudden do I start to gain 200% in Zol and I start to make $2,700 in this that is cold traffic non-brand that is being all of a sudden magically earning $2,000 a month more than the previous month or $10,000 a month? How did that happen? I made a competing campaign. I just forced it in that direction. Everything changed. Every single thing changed when I started to do this. And when I say everything changed, I mean this here specifically. If I take my PMax Smart Shopping campaign and I go into my Zol products, and it does not matter since February 6th, which one I look at, this lithium battery and the Zol CPRD, the lithium battery and Zol CPRD, if you remember, that's in my Zol campaign, the two here. That one here, when you look at those two products here inside of the this campaign, I'm getting my cost per conversion down 85% and 13%. My conversion value by cost went from 0.67 ROAS to 730 and 6 to 1,000. So it went up 990% and 62%. The clicks went up only 9% more for 1,000% more ROAS. Go figure there. Conversions shot up 637%. My paths had 211% more impressions, 423% more clicks, 300% more cost, 372% more conversions, 560% more conversion value. And all I did was launch two $30 per day campaigns. That's it. Two $30 per day campaigns. So my little $30 Zol just made like a 7x return. But it's weird, right? How did that happen? So if you look at this CPRD pad and you look back at, let's just say even to like January, this thing was not doing too much. It was just kind of hanging out. It was getting like a pretty much kind of a fairly simple result. Then all of a sudden, boom, it just kind of blew up here. Well, what date range is that? Well, if you look at here, see how it is February 6th? That's interesting. February 6th sounds exactly like the time that we ran this campaign here on February 5th. Cool stuff. So yeah, that's what we've been working on. We've kind of gotten savant level with this stuff, and I don't know how many people really care, but it's getting fairly nuts. The amount of different correlations that we've been able to find inside of PMax, where PMax just kind of goes off on its own, we've been able now to steer it in a direction and get new customer growth and scale accounts 80 grand with only changing our MER or our CAC 10-15%. That's on the first 3 days. So this is pretty cool stuff. I'm going to go through some questions here. What was your guys' thought process when figuring this out? Like, how did you come up with this idea? You want to know funny? The guy, one of our clients says, "Hey, I need to start making more sales on this campaign or on this product." I said, "Okay." It's in PMax. Like each time I launch a new PMax, it doesn't really do good. I need like another 45 days. So I was like, maybe I could just do this on my own. So I started a standard shopping campaign. And I made one sale and lost all the ROAS. I was like, crap. The client calls me. He's like, "Hey, man, good job." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I'm selling them like crazy." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so I just found this by accident, by simply trying to sell the product for the client that PMax wouldn't sell. And I was like, I guess PMax won't do it. I'll do it. But PMax is running 280 SKUs and it's doing great. So I was like, how do I just, make that one work? I forgot to take it out of my Performance Max campaign. I started my standard shopping campaign, and that's when I saw when I started pushing my standard shopping campaign, PMax started pushing it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I did 15 more times, and now we're all here. So yeah, I Mr. Bagooed my way into this. Mihai, hey, hello, sir. How are you? Who is typing for Solutions 8? I don't know. Oh, it's Caden. Thanks, Caden. Glad to hear. Glad you are here to explain what John is talking about. I know I'm horrible. John talks in cursive. I don't talk in cursive. I talk in Latin. It's a dead language, and I find it fun, but I don't think anybody else does. Wait, so you dumped in more money in standard, it didn't work, or into PMax and didn't work? So no, nothing happened inside. Oh, the one for the other account, yes, I dumped in a bunch more money into standard, and PMax just had like 3 times its normal result. I'm still working on the mix. Honestly, I don't know the mix just yet. Right now, I think for smaller accounts, a 70-30 split between overlap is good. What 70-30 split and overlap. What I mean by that is you're not taking 70% and put it into PMax for all products and 30% of standard shopping. It's if you're having a PMax campaign with a product, you're trying to get 70% of the spend actually happening inside of the PMax campaign on smaller accounts, because your standard shopping campaign at $30 a day is a fairly large chunk of the piece of the pie. Now, in bigger accounts, you want to have one PMax campaign that can really skyrocket in ROAS and revenue and lift up the overall account. And then you can build subsequent smaller accounts to then push the main PMax. In my other example, I have 25 campaigns in standard shopping, all overlapping the 25 categories that I have in one PMax. So it's like 300 SKUs individually and 300 SKUs in one PMax. And I spend, $100 or $200 a day here rather than the $5,000 a day I do in PMax. So all I'm doing is having supplemental campaigns to make sure the PMax, because it does get good cold traffic and good new customers, it does do good run remarketing, just continues off in the path that it needs to go into. Yeah. I'm going with no. Sounds like a trick. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what we're talking about. You need to focus on impressions. Yeah. I want to say the impressions thing. So here's what's really crazy. I'm going to share with you a campaign that we just started that failed. And, it's amazing what we've learned on this fail. This is really cool, everyone. Remember when I told you about the search impression share trick? This is so good. I love how Google lies so much. Let me do this here. Okay. So this is a new campaign that we just started, but we tested the wrong bidding strategy. Again, this is still like within the first few weeks of experimenting. But this campaign here was running on a $50 per day standard shopping, and PMax was spending $100 a day. And now this just the first 7 days of this campaign. I spent 121, made $2,500. That's not real. It's a lot of remarketing. It's got some brand in there. It's not clean. It's bad. I can be a bad marketer and be like, look at my 2,000% ROAS. I'm so good, but it's fake. It's not real. So don't get caught up in investigate. So that's why I'm here teaching you how 2,000% ROAS is bad. What we did though is right before today, we're on maximize clicks. And I just said, let's just go through the 5-day learning period. Let's see if it works. And then it pops up yesterday saying, nope, didn't work. So we changed today with manual CPC, spiked up the CPC to $7 like we've been teaching you here today. Here's what is crazy though. I got 153 impressions and 0 clicks with a 99.11% search impression share. 99% search impression share. And I got 153 impressions. Okay. Why? Well, when I'm running a standard shopping campaign alongside of a PMax, the PMax takes priority. This is running on a high priority anyway. It's not like it matters, but it is. PMax takes priority. And so my search impression share says I'm at 99. That's exactly true. Why? Because 99 is what I was eligible to receive. Not what I could have received. That's click share. What I was eligible to receive was those 153 people. So the 13,000, your standard shopping on maximized clicks that had a bid that was probably 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 days high. Yeah, you were eligible to receive 153 impressions. Well, that's interesting because the 153 impressions, if you look here, actually only came about here, not here, not here, here, when Google's adjusting the bids. Interesting. So now I'm starting to see that I can get impressions when Google's adjusting the bids. What does that mean for me? Well, if I manually adjust the bids, I'll make myself more attractive. But in the meantime, I'm only eligible to receive 153 impressions a week, and that's all I'm getting. Yeah, I'll put you even at the top, but only for 153 people. That is the search impression share eligibility. Your bubble you created based on your individual choices and your bidding strategy and your budget and your products, everything you did, you made yourself eligible for 153 people. That's what search impression share means. It doesn't mean what is the market size. It means what did I lock myself into? And in the audience I've locked myself into, how many impressions did I get in the audience I locked myself into? So when you're running TCPA and you're like, oh, I'm getting a 95% search impression share on my TCPA. Yes, but you have a 50% click share. You could have gotten 100% more people because you're at a 50% market penetration. You could double it, which means 100% more. You can get 100% more people if you just remove the TCPA because you're not locking yourself into the restriction. So just know that search impression share doesn't mean anything. It means in my bubble, how'd I do? Click share means how much more can I scale? So that's when you see that if you're trying to increase your bids inside a manual CPC in a shopping campaign and PMax is there hovering over you, you have to try to make it so attractive that your search impression share goes down. If it does, that is good because now you have increased the market size that you're eligible to receive, and now you can spend and increase your budgets. Cool. Okay. So friggin' smart. John is a man. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. John is related to Einstein. Thank you. He thought the hair gene didn't transfer. No, I actually have long, luscious locks like Cosmo. I just shave my head. Let's see. In essence, create high CPC bids in standard shopping feed PMax. Yes. Yeah, we're basically taking a standard shopping campaign against a feed only and making one look more attractive because we know that PMax is going to over attribute to itself, steal all that traffic, and head in the direction that is not a remarketing and brand. Better get liking GA4 pretty soon. No, Dave, I will die on that hill. GA4 is so fatty and stupid that I can't stand it at all. I don't get it. It says, hey, most of your traffic's coming from paid search. Most of your new customers are coming from direct. Huh? Like, no, it's so stupid. It doesn't string them together. The fingerprinting is broken in GA4. I'm not using it yet. I like GTM. I'm going to stay in my GTM bubble. Yep, exactly. As Southwest Mobility, you get cool. Appreciate that. Dylan, do you layer any standard shopping ad groups with audiences or keep it open to search term matches only, cold audience only, not remarketing? So in my standard shopping, I typically will use it on a no audiences. I like no audiences only because I keep getting burnt and then saved by audiences when they fall in and out of audience layer. I don't know. I find a little bit better consistency not doing audiences because I had one campaign that was scaling at a 500% growth in 6 months. And then the audience just died and Google chose other audiences. And then all of a sudden the whole campaign kept spending, but boom, everything died. I turned off all the other audiences, forced it to go back to the audience that I liked. And all of a sudden, whoop, 55% increase in conversions within the first 2 days. So audiences scare me because audiences are not left into my control. It's Google's interpretation of who they think. Well, as more websites come out, as more videos come out, as more social media comes out, Google's trying to keep up. I would really like to say, if you're searching here, I want you. Like if you're looking at this keyword, I don't care if you're an 84-year-old woman who likes bocce ball or a 19-year-old kid who loves rugby. I'll take you both. If you're both looking for like cat condo, like I'll take that. So I usually don't use a lot of audiences just because I like intentful search more than who Google interprets them to be that day. Hey, is there a replay of this live? Throw me $20. I'll send it to you. No, it'll be up on our YouTube channel. What's the best way to determine the CPC for standard shopping so it has an impact on PMax? Look at that search impression share. Keep increasing it to see if that goes down, and then you'll see it start to spend. How much budget allocated to standard shopping for PMax strategy? Yeah, that's what we're kind of figuring out. What you don't want to do is take a $300 per day campaign and split it right down the middle, and half is just going to be horrible performance because then your campaign is, or your account's going to look bad. It's still going to have the same effect, but your account looks bad. And I'm done fighting clients on MER. I've lost a few clients because they didn't believe me that MER was a thing. And they're like, no, you said the standard shopping campaign should have a 3. I said, no, we'll have a 3x MER. No. And then they paused the campaign, and now the company's gone down 78% in revenue after shutting off our one failing campaign, and I don't want to take the client back. So I'm done fighting on the clients of like paying me to teach them. Well, they'll tell me no. It just doesn't make sense. So this is basically a way to say, if you want to pay me, I'll fluff a number for you, I guess. If you want to pay me to lie to you, whatever. So this is the kind of that also solves that issue there. So just know that if you're looking at MER, yeah, just stick more in standard shopping. If you need more ROAS, stick more into PMax. It's the same number. You're just reallocating it literally. And the client's happier to pay for junk because a arbitrary number fake looks well. I don't know. It's stupid. That's why I showed you analytics. Yeah, I doubled the client in 3 months. Great. This client I've been having for 3 years. We doubled in 3 months. And that's actually revenue. It's not just what Google Ads says. Focus on MER. We've always found our products are diluted when launching competing product campaigns. I'll probably need a little bit more information on that because what this is only running 2 at once. You don't want to run more. Don't run like a high, medium, low, and then a PMax and PMax feed only, different bidding strategy, different budgets, and then not care where those people travel through from. And you're like, I don't know, it doesn't work. Not saying you do that, but I've seen that happen a lot of times before. So when you take the two competing campaigns, two campaigns that you can control, then you see the flow of traffic between those two. And then whatever comes in brand organic is going to be left over. Your mileage may vary depending on what you're spending on those returning channels. Let's do this. A classic perfect accident. Yeah, that's what I've said. In my LinkedIn profile, I even say I'm just a person that's made the most amount of mistakes. That's it. That's it. I'm just sharing all that with you. Do you recommend putting all products in one standard shopping campaign or pushing a few products in standard? You can absolutely break them out. The standard shopping doesn't matter. It's manual. That's good. Your PMax needs to have them all into one, because if you start splitting out PMaxes, then you're going to have people jumping from PMax to PMax. And that's where you actually don't run a strategy anymore. You're just like, I don't know everything all the time. And hopefully things look good together and you're not controlling anything. So one PMax campaign, feed only. Everything else, you can break it out in standard shopping as much as you can. Just make sure you're running manual on standard shopping in your PMax campaign. I've actually had success with TCBAT ROAS and maximize conversion value. They all run. You just have to make your standard shopping more attractive to Google. There'll be a YouTube channel, Solutions Day, I think. Yep. And it's actually posting to my LinkedIn too. So you can always find out LinkedIn. Do you must measure this strategy with MER? Is it possible to look at Google? No, both. Again, if you want more ROAS, you got to put more into standard shopping. It's fake, but it fluffs the numbers up. If you want to have more new customer traffic that's pushing faster, put it more in standard shopping. MER is going to tell you if either one of those scenarios is actually working though. Such a key distinction that's frequently misunderstood. Thank you, Max. I love that your LinkedIn profile is like this, because I'm doing that too. So yeah, love you for that. Love that explanation of impression share. I struggle to explain this to clients and other marketers all the time. It's not real. I know, Kelsey, isn't that? It's weird. Search impression share, when no one reads the definitions and they just assume and then make extremely expensive decisions for years off of that. It's like, why? I mean, I don't want a person that's like, doing brain surgery. I mean, it's like, what is the cranial? I think it's that. Like, no, you got to know this stuff if you're going to be making really expensive decisions based off of it. Just tuned in, Guy. All right, hold on. I'm gonna do this all over again. Just kidding. What is the best way to make a standard more attractive? Huge manual bids, a standard, or set an aggressively high T-ROAS and PMax? No. So the T-ROAS, I wouldn't really focus there initially. That's gonna try to have PMax go after more of a node audience, which is your brand and which is your return traffic. If your cold traffic is coming back with a high probability of scale, then you're going to be able to adjust your T-ROAS, but I wouldn't start there. Try running it wide open first. It's going to allow Google to test more ad spend on the returning traffic, or even go proactive to the people that is trying to go after, because it's competing with your standard shopping. So my opinion would be, don't start it on a T-ROAS, but take your manual CPC, take your shopping campaign, turn on manual, turn off eCPC, because that's maximized conversions, which is what your PMax is running on anyway. And then have it go at a very high bid, like $6 or $7. You may only get 3 or 4, but it's going to be 50 cents to 75 cents higher than your PMax campaign. Watch your search and price share should go down, and then you'll see that start to spend more. What's better, managing high versus low margin product via multiple shopping campaigns, or one campaign with multiple ad groups? I can't really answer that, because, Steve, the one thing they're going to look at is, if you got to click on a product, did that product actually sell? This is something we talked about a few times on the YouTube channel. I actually made a post about LinkedIn a couple days ago. I wouldn't say that which is better, because here, I'll just give you a quick example. This account here, actually, let me go to the dashboard. We're talking about a low margin, low AOV. So think about $90 sales, $75, $80 sales on average, and $9 CACs. Not that great. So I'm going to share this with you here, and I'm just going to go into this one here. So check this out. Okay. So we're talking about, high versus low. Doesn't matter. If we're going to spend $580K and make 5.6 million last week, that's a 10x MER. Okay, so how does my CAC is 87 and my average order value is 90? How does that reach 10x? Right? Wait a minute, ROAS, right? Like, wait a minute, how did I take a 3, a 0, a 7, and a 2 and equal a 10? Huh? That doesn't make sense. That's because it's not about high versus low. It's not about Google Ads. You have to find your customer path, your CACs versus your LTVs, your omnichannel spends, your conversion path, And then I can kind of react and say, if you had X, Y, and Z, then we would do this. I do charge for consulting. I can help you on that side, but to say, hey, if everything's equal, like what's better? I don't know. I can't diagnose, or I can't really make a recommendation without a diagnostic approach to things. So, $87 CAC and $95 AOV shouldn't be 10xing every week. It does because of other extenuating factors. So I'll not to dismiss it. I just don't want to send you off on the wrong path. I have to go through a few different Q&As to say, is this scenario possible? You have a standard shopping campaign running for girls, leotards, 1559 clicks, 6 conversions. Does this tell you people don't want to buy her stuff? What should I look at? No, that's completely fine. That's the thing, is standard shopping is losing attribution. That's why this whole thing came about. It was started there where you are, Dave. Try this scenario. I see so much loss in attribution. I'll give you a proof of this. It's just not possible how attribution is working inside of Google. It's not. So I don't believe anything in Google anymore, honestly. I have to verify the data and then find the correlations, and then I can come up with a strategy. But here's another scenario. This is a different client account. This is the first week I started standard shopping. And you can see here my standard shopping campaigns that I'm starting to run. I said, hey, I woke up one day and said, let's spend 20 grand this week on a bunch of failing standard shopping campaigns where my ROAS is 0.7, 0.5, 0.3, 1, 1, 0.3s, and I'm getting a global 0.66. That's stupid, right? But how did the account get a 14% better ROAS? What? Yeah, I got a 14% better ROAS after losing my shorts on a whole bunch of standard shopping campaigns. That increased to 2.2. Well, because I was running this PMax feed only upgrade, again, another iteration of exactly what we're talking about today. A bunch of standard shopping campaigns launched. They lost their butt, but I spent 4% more in PMax and made, there we go. How about this? How do you take $800 in PMax and turn that into 16,000? Anybody got an idea? $800 into 16 grand in 1 week, and all I did was launch standard shopping campaigns. Another iteration that this is working. My global CAC, MER, all that stuff just scaled up. And I apparently only had a 0.6 ROAS as standard shopping. So Dave, so this is an attribution. It's not an attribution issue. You have no sales in girls leotards anywhere. It's not just on Google Ads. Like you're just not finding it. Maybe it might be a lag. Okay. So no sales in the back end, not an attribution, at least in entirety. I'd probably look at some competitors too. Like if you're selling girls leotards, and yeah, I would check. I would just check to see what is the competitive metrics. Because if you're getting a good click-through rate on shopping, 0.83 is great on shopping if you think about it. You're getting some action. Just look deeper, see if there's anything kind of stopping that. Instead of prices are competitive, saying not a lot of sales. Dave, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd like to take a look at that account with you. We'll see if we can gain myself access. I'll have to look at back into Shopify too. We'll kind of go there, but yeah, let's you and I link up, because standard shopping by default looks bad for sure. But there's ways that you can give it more data. This is one of those. Cool, everyone. I have to hop off because I'm getting ready for a 2:00 call, but I appreciate you all so much. Hopefully this has been giving you a lot of brain damage and just more confusion. I didn't solve any of your problems. And if that's true, you're heading in the right direction. We're learning. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.